Hey everybody, I'm Jeff Davis, and right now I am with Robert Reiss, who is the founder, host, and CEO of the CEO Show. It's an amazing company that features high-level, world-class CEOs, and he disseminates their wisdom to people all across the world. Robert, I'd love for you to share, what would you say is the single biggest factor in your success?
I'd say it's probably understanding time and how to work with time. Actually, when I was about 35 years old, I was commuting to New York City, and it was about 4 hours a day commuting. And after several years, I realized I am just wasting time. And I said, why don't I set a crazy goal for myself? Why don't I set a goal to read one business book a week? Now, I'm just naturally sort of a slow reader. And I liked reading mostly sports. But I set this goal, and I followed through. After about a year and a half, I'd read about 75 business books. And then what happened was I'd go into someone's office, and the first thing I'd do is look at their wall, and I'd see which books they read. And I understood the concepts already. So I would start interviewing them, in a sense, about their thought leadership and the books that they'd read. And what happened then was, you fast forward 20 years later, now what I do is I interview CEOs full-time. I guess I've interviewed about 750 top CEOs. And it all started then by learning thought leadership through that crazy goal. And now about 1,000 books later, having read in business, that was my own PhD. So I think what happened there was by, in managing that time, instead of wasting it on the commute, instead of being able to use it, I was able to take that time that was valueless and to make it into something essential for me. One other thing I do with time is I wake up really early in the morning. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I'm up usually about 4 a.m., sometimes 3:30 a.m., and that's all of my time. And my real goal is by 9 a.m. in the morning that I've already written down, and I always write down all my ideas. I have a book that I write them down in thought leadership. And by 9 a.m. in the morning, that I've done more than a lot of people have done in a whole day. That's sort of my goal. So by 9 a.m., I've already accomplished a huge amount. So I'd say both of those are examples of how utilizing time and making it your complete ally can drive you towards success.
That's amazing. I love those tactics and tips about using time in a more valuable way. For example, he was on that train. He could have wasted it. He decided to make the most of it. And then, of course, waking up early, which is something that is tough for me and others to do, but when you do it, you get a lot done. Any parting thoughts on leadership that you pick up from your discussions with CEOs?
Yeah, I would say that almost every CEO I've interviewed has similar characteristics. And number one, it's about passion, but an intense passion. Number two, they all have a sense of urgency. Sometimes it's veiled where they're very calm on the exterior, but on the interior, they are perfectionist and they're driving the passion. And I was just speaking with a top CEO about 3 days ago, and what he said is, I focus on all of the big things and all of the really little things. I leave everything in the middle to my organization.
Wow, that's fantastic insight, and definitely one that can help us all. Thanks for tuning in. Please leave your comments if you resonate with any of these tips, and as always, stay true to yourself, and see you at the mountaintop.